second, you're a therapist. You just call yourself an executive coach so people like me will talk to you. But I talked to him. I talked to him about my feelings, at least the best I knew how. Without meaning to, I was suddenly spewing a bunch of frustrations. I told him I was frustrated with the things happening around me that were out of my control. I confessed to him that while I didn't feel burned out, I sure felt worn out. I admitted to him that I felt like all I did was disappoint people. And before I knew what was happening, I started to unload. Everyone has an opinion about what I should be doing differently or how I could do it better. I can't post anything on social media without somebody taking it personally and getting offended. My list of things that need to get done feel like a weight that's too heavy, but more plates keep getting added to the bar every day. The people I care about the most are always getting my leftover energy and time. I'm in over my head. I don't know what I'm doing. I think everyone around me is starting to figure that out. I feel like everyone needs something from me, and all I do is let them down. For the first time in my life, I don't feel very motivated or driven. I come home from work, and I just want to lay on the couch and stare at my phone. Even though I know God's grace, I feel like I'm letting him down too. I don't know why he doesn't pull me out of the game and put someone else in. I feel discouraged, and I'm discouraged about feeling discouraged because I'm supposed to be the one who encourages people who are discouraged. I just kept going. When I was finished, I was immediately ashamed. My wife would have been proud of me for being vulnerable, but I was sure that I sounded weak and pathetic, probably whiny. Although at some point, I definitely started to sound more annoyed. I have this thing I do where instead of vulnerably admitting that things are hard and I need help, I act annoyed. I say annoyed. Some people might say angry. But even angry, to me, seems better than whiny. It feels more powerful and less helpless. My executive coach, a therapist, went on to ask me a series of questions. It reminded me of going to my primary physician who would run through a list of questions to determine if I'm healthy. He asked me about my schedule. How are you sleeping? Are you keeping a consistent routine? He asked me about my relationships. What kind of time are you spending with your wife? How connected are you with your kids? He asked me about my friendships. Do you have authentic friendships, or do you just have buddies and coworkers? He asked about who I was honest with. When's the last time you asked someone to help you or to pray for you? I was starting to get defensive. I'm doing it right now, bro. I'm asking for help right now. That's why we're having this conversation. But then he asked me about my relationship with Jesus. How connected do you feel to him? How much time do you spend praying and reading scripture? Are you talking to Jesus about the things you just unloaded to me? I wanted to give him honest answers to all those questions. I wanted to tell him my life felt out of control, like I was always underwater, straining to break through the surface and get a lungful of air. I wanted to tell him I wasn't sleeping well at night because I couldn't turn off the scrolling list of things in my head that didn't get done that day and needed to get done the next. I wanted to tell him that I felt lonely and that I hadn't been making time for people who are closest to me. I wanted to tell him I hadn't been walking as closely with Jesus as I'd like to and how much I missed Jesus. I wanted to admit that the way I was living wasn't working, but I didn't. I didn't say any of those things. Instead, I began to blame the people around me and the circumstances over which I had no control. After my executive coach/therapist had completed his questions and I had listed my answers, he asked me a simple question. How would you say that's working for you? I couldn't believe he dropped the how's it working for you question on me. That's my question. That's the question I ask people. I don't do much pastoral counseling, but when I do, I almost always ask, how's that working for you? A wife tries to tell her husband what he needs to do differently. How's that working for you? A father's been putting in 60-hour work weeks and his teenage son is spiraling. How's that working for you? A young woman is always on social media and everyone thinks her life is perfect, but she's struggling with depression. How's that working for you? You keep cheering for the Detroit Lions. How's that working for you? I've asked that question oftentimes as a pastor. I've asked that question to the middle-aged man who has all the toys but still feels empty. I've asked it of the alcoholic